Last week, I was having an experience that a lot of people are having these days. I was sad, not grief-stricken, not a whole bunch of tumultuous stuff, but just sad. And it lasted a couple of days. I knew something was going on when I was actually riding public transit and realized I had tears running down my face. Oh, and I flashed back to an experience I had some years ago. That experience it was mid-December, kind of middle of the holiday season. And I went to a shopping mall to do a couple of errands. I was in a totally neutral mood, not happy, not sad, just neutral. The errands were neutral. I was just copacetic. And I was walking down the hallways of the shopping mall and I began to feel anxious. And it actually was getting quite uncomfortable, this anxiety, and I thought, well, I guess I could always think of something to be anxious about, but it seemed weird. The next time I was talking to my spiritual mentor teacher at that time, I told her that story and said it just seemed weird. She said, ask, how much of this is mine? So I asked, how much of this is mine? 30% is what popped in my mind. And I said, so what does that mean? She said, about 30% of that anxiety was yours. Really? And she said, the rest of it you were picking up from the environment. And I thought, oh, right, middle of the holiday season, shopping mall. What are the odds that quite a few people were feeling a little anxious or stressed or something? But that was the day I learned that it's not just our own individual or my own individual emotions, thoughts. We are also impacted by whatever are the kind of emotions and thoughts that are in the environment. Right now, at this time on the life of the planet, some countries are more tumultuous than others, but the whole world is in a turbulent state. And all of us are impacted. So what does that have to do? I'm speaking the obvious. So what can we do about that? Anything? Yes. Number one, there is such a thing as energetic protection. You probably, if you're part of following the kind of things that I talk about, you are probably familiar with ideas like, imagine that you have a column of white light that is protecting you, or you're in a sphere of positive energy and protected from negativity. And you may have some practices like that. So that's energetically, we can do some things to be aware that we are subject to being impacted by not just the sounds, the sights, the actions, but that energy that's around us, and we can protect ourselves a little bit. The other thing, thinking back to something I haven't thought about for quite a few years, when I first got exposed to the grief process. When I learned there are actually phases, it's normal grief, it's not a bunch of fun, but it is normal. When we have a huge impact of something that is traumatic, whether it's a death, anyway, anything that is traumatic, first, briefly, or sometimes not briefly, we go numb, shock, denial. Like it's too momentous, we kind of can't take it in. The second thing is we get mad, anger. And then we try to fix it. Well, surely this won't. I'm remembering the day of the lockdown that it began, and one of my neighbors said, they say it could be 5 weeks. I said, oh, surely not. Denial. Here we are 7 or 8 months on. So shock, we go numb, then we get mad. And then we think, well, it can't be that bad. or, well, maybe I can. We're trying to manipulate the situation to change it to, it's called bargaining in the jargon of the trade, but we're trying to make it different than it is. And then we realize, no, it really is like this. It really is not going away anytime soon. And we get depressed in some form. That, and then at some point, if we are willing to allow ourselves to have all those earlier stages, we get to a place of acceptance. Okay, this is how it is. It's not going to change anytime soon, or yes, the person really is gone, or yes, this really is like the way it is. And we come to a place of acceptance, and then we can begin to make different choices, positive choices. We can see the opportunities. We can do a whole bunch of stuff. And there's two things about this. One is it's very helpful to allow ourselves to experience the experience. Secondly, we kind of have to go through those stages, but the end point is it starts to open up space so that we can see other possibilities and other opportunities that we weren't going to see without this necessity or this opportunity. So that's kind of a gift of traumatic experiences eventually. So what does this have to do with us right now at this time on the life of the planet? Thing number one, we are all impacted, not just by whatever are the specifics of our own personal situation, but we are also all being impacted by a turbulent environment. And it's not just climate change, it's not just this, it's not just that. It's the whole energy of the planet, of humanity, is in a state of turbulence, and it is affecting us. Thing number three, we don't need to get totally wiped out, prostrate, but acknowledging that we are being impacted. It is a time, as best we can, to be, first of all, kind to ourselves and gentle with ourselves, and not expect we can be as productive or as rational or as anything that we approve of as we usually are, that we are being impacted and it's affecting us. So be gentle with ourselves. And then secondly, of course, be as gentle and kind as we can to the people around us. Because there is nobody, I suspect there is nobody on the planet, or very few, a very small percentage of people who are not in some way impacted by what's going on in the planet today. And we are already seeing, if we have eyes to see, some opportunities, some possibilities that 3 months ago, 6 months ago, hadn't occurred to us because we'd never had to notice before, or we'd never been in this situation before. So accept, feel what we're feeling, acknowledge, move through it, move on, acknowledge, be with it, and then, oddly enough, find something to be grateful for. Gratitude is an antidote for practically everything that is distressing. Find something to be grateful for, and then begin to notice, begin to look for, begin to seek out, what are the opportunities, what are the gifts of this situation? The universe knows what it's doing. The universe didn't ask us first. Let us assume that there is a higher good, and that part of our own evolution, we have a huge evolutionary opportunity at this time on the life of the planet, personally, and perhaps even globally. Let us look for the opportunity, let us find the things to be grateful for. And we will get through this. But I am beginning to believe, not only will we get through this as in survival, we are opening up to possibilities for humanity to flourish, humanity to up-level, who knows what's in store for us that could be something more magnificent than humanity has ever experienced before. It makes me feel good to think that's a possibility, and that is a good enough reason to think it's a possibility. And feel free to join me in considering that. As we move through this astonishing time, there is a gift for humanity, there is a gift for the planet. And some people can already see it and see how we benefit from this enormous challenge and enormous opportunity. And so it is.